Check 1, 2. Is that too loud? Too loud?
Yeah. She's gonna sit in her scooter.
Whatever you guys.
This is Beach Talk Radio.
Good morning, Mr. and Mrs. America, and all ships at sea. This is your captain speaking, Mean Gene. Mean Gene. The following will be a test of the ship's whistle, the sonar alarm, the cable alarm, and the atomic attack alarm.
Ladies and gentlemen, with the Gulf of Mexico as their backdrop, broadcasting live from the Margaritaville Resort on Fort Myers Beach, here are the hosts of the dinkiest podcast in America, Kim and Ed Ryan.
Yeah, baby. Welcome to Margaritaville post, what's the name of this most recent hurricane? Oh, there's so many. Hurricane Milton. We are live from Margaritaville, open for business here on the terrace outside the License to Chill bar. And really, the only thing that matters is the bar is open. Wait, the bar got more applause than I did. So as you guys that watch the show all know, Kim is away in Africa on a mission trip with Janelle Schoonover and Mike. I don't remember Mike's last name, but he's a friend of Kim's. And Ed Schoonover is here somewhere. There's Ed. All the husbands stay home while the wives go out and save the world. The first thing I want to say before I talk to Becky here is a big thank you to all the volunteers this morning. If you're a volunteer, please applaud. We had 2 days of volunteers that went out across Fort Myers Beach and pressure washed and picked up heavy things and moved things around for people on Fort Myers Beach that were affected by Hurricane Milton. It was mostly a muck event for people. And the thing that was a little bit interesting was there was a bunch of people that weren't really here yet. So they were kind of watching the storm on any camera they could find and hoping that their house was going to be okay. So we helped as many people as we could. We think we got down the majority of the list, but I'm sure there were a few people that we didn't get to. But thank you to all the volunteers. Thank you to everybody that's donated to the tab today. There's a $300 drink tab for the volunteers. So drink up, everybody. And also thank you to everybody that donated. It took us 51 minutes the other day to raise $4,000 to buy pressure washers to send out along Fort Myers Beach. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And so now those pressure washers are being returned to FMB Strong, and anybody that wants to get on a waiting list for a pressure washer can just go to FMB Strong. You're going to talk to Heidi. She's got a list going. There are 12 or 13 of them that were donated. They're garden hoses that were also donated. So if you need a pressure washer next week when you come down, there's one for you there. And then what the way we did it during Ian was somebody needed a generator or somebody needed a pressure washer or something. they borrowed it from FMB Strong, and then they used it, and then they brought it back so the next person had it. So Heidi's very organized. She's got a list going at FMB Strong, and you can go down there and do it, or you can go online and get the information for FMB Strong if you need a pressure washer for next week. So the reason I wanted to have Becky come up was because Becky just wanted to help everybody. I mean, I don't think she could lift heavy things or pressure wash, but she wanted to do something. So what she did was, and I'm going to cry. Go ahead.
I helped where I could.
She went to
Home Depot in Cape Coral, Florida. It was store number 0268. And if you ever need any help, any supplies, anything, those people went beyond, above and beyond. They donated the truck to get them here. They paid for all the gas. They're donating pallets of water that'll be coming the first part of next week. And we just had totally outstanding help at their end. They made sure that everything was in stock, ready to go.
all right.
Everything.
I'm okay now. You skipped over what you actually did. She went and found the pressure washers, and she bought them. And then she went and rented a truck, and she got in the truck. The truck was too high for her to get in the truck, so she needed help to get in the truck. She picked up all the pressure washers and brought them to Buttonwood and delivered them to Buttonwood from Cape Coral.
Right.
And so, yeah.
Thank you. I just wanted to be able to help. I have so many friends that live here on Fort Myers Beach. I follow this 100% every video, every day. But I just wanted to be a part and help. And it felt so good to be able to do that yesterday. It made me feel really great.
Great. Thank you so much for doing that. And she pulled up with the U-Haul truck and she said, we got it for 24 hours. Is there anything else you need to do? I said, no, just take the damn truck back. Thank you for delivering the pressure washers. So they're over there. And is there anyone else you wanted to thank, or do you think because I want to make sure the Home Depot folks took care of us for sure. So don't leave anybody out.
I just want to make sure that I had Kai. He is the local store manager at the Cape. And he gave me his personal cell phone. He was there every minute. Any questions, anything, where is everything? They made sure every I was dotted and every T was crossed. They were wonderful and outstanding. The ones that I just want to point out real fast are Kai. We had Jennifer at the service desk, Mike in the Pro Truck rental, and Rose is a service desk lead that made sure all the billing was adjusted and all the credits came back. So,
well, thank you for everybody that helped at Home Depot, and thank you for all your help. And we really appreciate what you did to help us out down here on the beach. Thank you.
Thank you.
Becky Hines, everybody. Thank you very much,
Thank
Becky.
you.
Boy, she said she was going to be nervous. I did way worse than she did. Holy smokes. So, of course, every Sunday we typically do our show at Wahoo Willie's, which is not open yet. I don't know if it's because they don't have power or whatever. Something's going on, but we do our show with the mayor every Sunday at Wahoo Willie's. We do our show Saturday here on the terrace when the License to Chill restaurant is open. Right now, the bar is open. And unfortunately, Lottie Da took a beating from the storm on the other side of Vistero Boulevard. So that's why we're here today. And right now, the reason you're here is not to see me. It's to see the mayor of Fort Myers Beach, Dan Allers. Yeah. Come on down, Dan. Welcome to Margaritaville.
Nice place. My first time.
So the obviously the big question is, how are we doing with power?
We just got the latest update from Pam Roush at FPL. A couple hundred people are still without power. We are still having some. Last night we got the message that the feeders, which is the main Estero Boulevard, were all live. The north end of the island has been having some issues with one phase going on and out there. Currently working on that over on where it comes from San Carlos Island. Publix is still on generators, but they're working on it. I just got a message that they're at the school trying to get the power back on at the school. So they're working as fast as they can. They worked through the night last night. We drove down to the south end about 10 o'clock last night, and it looked like most of the condos in the Bay Beach area were on.
Sweet.
And most of the condos down the south end. So now that they've got that main feeder on, they'll start going street by street to isolate what the issue is. You know, kind of how the process is just like your house. If you flip the switch on and the breaker pops, there's obviously something wrong. So you got to start trying to figure it out. So once they had constant power down Main Street, then they'll go back and they'll start flipping the fuse. I can't remember what the technical term is. I'm sure someone will tell me. The feeder is what they call this. And then the ones that go down the side streets, they flip it on. If it holds, they go to the next one. If it trips, then they just go down and figure out who's got a problem where and isolate it house by house.
So I'm not much about a man hugs or anything like that, or loving of government. But I have to be honest with you. When the town of Fort Myers Beach met I think it was Sunday.
Yeah.
And they declared they were the first ones to jump out and say that we're going to do an evacuation. It was before anybody else did it. Andy was on top of it. Unfortunately, he's got a lot of experience with catastrophes because he was the town manager. I don't know if you all knew this. He was the town manager in what was the name of it? Surfside, when the building fell over there. So he has experience with major catastrophes. Hey, you guys, the volunteers, there's a tab for the volunteers. Just make sure you say you're the volunteers so you get a free drink. So, yeah.
When I got here this morning, the bartender said, "Are you a volunteer?" I said, "Some would say."
Yeah. So you guys declared an evacuation on Sunday. It was an orderly evacuation, and at work, people got off the island. And when it was time that the storm passed, you have to worry about search and rescue because there was a big problem with people dying and people getting injured in Ian. And there was people here, it's going to Tampa. They don't trust that anymore. They heard it was going to Tampa the last time, and it didn't go to Tampa. So when the forecasters say it's going to Tampa, they were like, "Shit, it's not really going to Tampa. It's coming to hit us," because that's what happened during Hurricane Ian. So it was an orderly evacuation. But I think people evacuated because they felt like they could trust that the government was going to allow them to get back to their homes. And that was the problem the last time. They couldn't get back to their homes quickly enough. You're getting mold, you're getting other issues, you're getting looters, and the process seemed to work. Your fire chief said there were no urgent calls. You guys are going through the process. You have something established to let people on the island. Andy did such an awesome job. I was out, you guys might have seen, I was out in the streets a few times. I never put myself in danger. But every time I saw one vehicle, it was Andy, the town manager, with Nicole, the PIO. She wasn't stranded at the baseball park. She was in the vehicle with Andy, the town manager, so you can get information out. So it seemed like the process you put in place worked. And if the people can trust the government, then that's a home run right there that made it work. So
yeah, I mean, huge thanks have to go out to Andy and his staff. Nicole and Jeff were in the vehicle all the time. And to the residents, the fact that they heeded the warning and they got out allowed us to start the recovery process that much faster. You know, both the look on my face and Chief Worth's face at about 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning when we're talking to each other through truck windows, he's like, "We have 0 calls for rescue and 0 calls in the queue for people that need assistance." And any hurricane that we've been through, usually you all you're hearing are sirens, whether it's trucks or ambulance, you're hearing sirens. I didn't hear a set of sirens until probably 4 o'clock that afternoon, which was baffling. So he said, as far as we're concerned, the island's yours. Go ahead and get started on it. So before we put the message out, we got the front end loaders moving to try to clear right here at the base of the bridge where we know all that sand piles up so that at least people could safely get on. Implemented the pass. We tried to be very informative to let people know where they could go get the pass. A couple of times the messaging wasn't as thorough probably as it could have been. So with each one of these, unfortunately, you learn a little bit. Some people have offered some suggestions that make a lot of sense that we can implement that are very easy. Like we had Lee County's deputy sheriffs were going down through. There wasn't a long line, surprisingly, but right away at the beginning when people were trying to get on, there were some that were trying to get on without a pass and thought they could sneak through. And I'll tell you a funny story about that. This is how thorough the staff was. So they're trying to get through. So Lee County Sheriff's deputies were driving down and they were telling them, if you don't have a resident pass, it's this color. You're not going to get on, turn around now. And someone had a suggestion this morning, which is great. You know, the sandwich boards, if we can have one of those ready to put out at Pine Ridge Road that just says, if you don't have a pass, you're not going to get on past this point. Something very easily that we can implement. So our funny story, our staff was so diligent about making sure you weren't getting on without a pass. The town had ordered a backup generator to power town hall, so staff had a place to work out of, because we took everything out of their computers. Anything that could possibly float away was taken out of those trailers. So we had ordered a generator to come onto the island, but the people we had at the base of the bridge checking passes wouldn't let the generator on because they didn't have a pass and turned them away. So our generator went back. And by the time we found out about it was like, oh, you should have called. But so, I mean, this tells you they were not letting people on that weren't supposed to be here.
Yeah. And I like the fact that Sheriff Marcino came down. He came down with every friggin' toy that guy buys with drug money. He dropped the helicopter on the beach.
Did you see his latest toy, that Mog?
Oh yeah.
So they came, they came down with the swamp buggy, and that under Helene got buried. So it's like, hold my beer, watch this.
So so they bought a new vehicle, which seemed like it was higher, and I don't even think the guy that was driving it knew actually how to drive it. And they had like troops in the back. They had like the guys were.
It floats.
It was like 90 degrees out, and it looked like the deputies were in full tactical gear. Like if you're gonna loot on Fort Myers Beach, we're gonna shoot your asses dead. That's what we're telling you right now. I think that's really the point he wanted to make across. Yeah.
I was on the north end of the island, and I didn't know they were doing that. And I come around the corner, and I see the helicopter sitting there, and I see all these things. I'm like, holy hell, what am I missing?
Yeah, it was good to see that. I think the point of that was don't try and loot down here. And
they were everywhere
because there was a little bit of looting after Ian, and I think they wanted to make the point. And I'm sure there was some, but I haven't heard of any.
I haven't heard of any, and you couldn't go 2 blocks without seeing a sheriff's.
Yeah, they were everywhere.
And you could, and that didn't include the ones you couldn't see.
Yeah,
you just seen the ones with the lights on driving down
and
the
just speaking about couldn't see, I think we had a show the other night. Just so you all know, if you live on the beach, the FEMA people are on the beach. They're looking around. They're not identifiable. They're walking around. They're taking pictures. They're looking at your house. They're taking pictures of your house because they don't mess around. But you can't. They're not like the FBI where they have those black jackets that say FBI on the back. They're not identifiable. You'll never know who they are, and you'll never be able to question them because what they do is they say, I saw Bob on Fairview doing this work, and they'll take it out on the town. That's how the whole thing works. It's on the town's back now to go after the people because FEMA, I mean, I'm not saying I disagree with the process. We want people to be able to build houses that they don't have to deal with ever shoveling all the shit out of the bottoms of their houses anymore. Sorry about my French, but I don't see any kids, and Kim's not around.
Yeah, no, yeah, they are here. They're constantly here, but like you said, you won't see them. I can kind of spot them now because I've seen them so many times. I know where they're at, but I shouldn't say I know where they're at. I know they're here. I just never know where they're at what time they're going to be here, but they're always checking. So when you see people, measuring how deep the water was, that gives them an idea of what kind of permits are going to be needed. And so they're tracking everything, which makes, they're just making sure we're tracking everything. So when people are getting permits now, now we're back into that permit phase where people are starting to understand. And one of the things that's going to be coming up that we're working on getting answers from FEMA is the 50% rule. I know we talked about it a little bit the other day with Albert, but it's not exactly that simple. There's some miscommunication about, does it go for 10 years and does your permit have to be closed or your CO have to be done for 12 consecutive months? So we're going to be working on that this week to see if we can get 100% clarification for FEMA on how that works. Does your 50% start over if you've closed it out and you've got your CO and now it's the new product? And another question I have is, if I had $100,000 house and I could spend $50,000, I spent $25,000, which if it's not a closeout permit, that tells me I've got another $25,000 I can spend.
Whatever you're saying is going right over my head. So many numbers and the whole thing.
I'm asking hopefully that someone's paying attention and they'll give us the answers to this. But my question is, if in this same scenario, if my house was valued at $100,000, I did $25,000 worth of work, I've closed it out, I've been living in it. Now the new property assessed value has come in since that permit was closed out, and now my house is worth $300,000, say, and I have gotten damaged, is my 50% now at that $300,000 value, or is it still at the $100,000 value? Because those are the questions that we're getting, and we need to get that clarification from FEMA.
We also, like, we know there are going to be storms. Like, this isn't going to be the last storm ever. We know there are going to be storms. And I think, luckily, the mayor allowed me to get in his vehicle with him before the storm and after the storm. And there's a funny story to tell about the after the storm ride. But
Oh boy, I can't wait.
well, yeah, before the storm, we're riding around and we see the porta potties and the dumpsters and the construction the construction materials that weren't tied down. And we're like, well, if there's the storm surge that they say they're going to have, that shit's going to be weapons. That's going to be weaponized. And, you know, these folks right here, all of the construction materials from one project are now in their yard. Now they have to hire people to clean it up. And that's not right. That's not right. Now, when they figure out where that construction material came from, why doesn't that contractor have to pay for it?
Well, the town can't.
No, I'm not talking about the town. We're talking bro to bro here now.
Well, you would hope that contractor would. You would hope that contractor would step up and say, you know,
do the right thing.
And some do and some don't. And then I've heard there's legal battles going on still from Ian over that kind of thing. So it's unfortunate that, you know, people had boats in their backyard that were somebody else's boats that weren't tied down, and now they've got to get them out of their yard. But it's hurricanes are never fun. It's never easy. Tempers get up there, you know, especially when you don't have power or something and you're sleeping,
right.
You know, you've been sweating all day and you're taking a cold shower if you have water, and then you're sleeping and no air. It's
You're rambling now. What about a cold shower? Did you had to take a cold shower last week?
No, I was able to take a hot shower today, so I was very fortunate.
You smell very fresh, and he's shaven, by the way. I noticed that.
I was going to ask you why you couldn't take the time to be professional and shave, but I was going to just leave that alone.
He comes to the show totally unprofessional, unshaven, and stuff like that. So I mean, thank you. So the other thing that was, I thought it was a little more unusual about this.
I want to hear the story about riding around.
Okay, all right. Well, I'll tell the story because I'll forget it later in the show.
That's why I got to remind you.
After the storm, Dan and John King are driving around and they're assessing the damage, and they pick me up at Margaritaville, and we start going down. Like, I want to take pictures because everybody wants to see their street, they want to see their house, they want to see their favorite place, whatever's left on the island. So my job is to take pictures and post them on Facebook or send them. Like, somebody asked me to go down their street and send it to them because they're not in town. And I'm happy to do that. And so we get to the Publix. By the way, he's got to stop every 100 yards because the BBC is calling him, or MSNBC is calling him, or Fox News is calling him. He's got to, every single interview, can't you turn down a few? Like, I had to turn down Fox News because it was 10 o'clock at night. And I'm like, I'm not staying up that late.
Well, you can, but I think it's important that the more people, whatever station you listen to, whatever, doesn't matter to me.
You were on Drew Steele the other day, and 4 people were watching.
Doesn't mean there's not going to be 4,000 people watching.
True.
The replay.
All right. There are 4 people were watching live. So we get to the Publix in the car.
How easy he forgets when he first started.
I know. It was 9 people watching for about 4 years. So we get to the Publix, and now everything stops working. There's no internet. You can't make a phone call. You can't. I can't send a text. Nothing is working except for his phone, by the way. That's the only, like, he's got some special government phone that works. And so I'm like, I feel like, hey, can you guys turn around and let me back? Send me back to Margaritaville, because, you know, I feel like you're holding me hostage now. You're holding me hostage. We're going to go all the way to the end of the island at 10 miles an hour. And that's an hour where I can't take any pictures. And it's like, Mr., you know, I feel so special. I need to have the internet, but you would not turn around and you said, I'm never taking you anywhere again.
I think my words were, you can get the hell out now if you want. I mean, get the hoof in me.
You feel like,
sorry, we're trying to do you a favor.
You never realize until you don't have it how much you need to be connected to everything. Like, you can't not be connected.
It a little bit. He was in the back seat like a toddler that wanted McDonald's. He's like, "Are we there yet? Are we there yet? I feel like you're driving Miss Daisy. When are we going to turn around and give me back?"
I reminded me of a time where I was in the back of a police car, not because I did anything wrong, but because the police were somebody robbed some stuff for our house, and the sheriff's department found them, and they wanted me to identify them. Of course, I wanted to get out of the back of the police car and kick the guy's ass because he stole from our vehicle. He broke into my vehicle and stole. But you could just so everybody knows, in case you didn't know this, you can't get out of the back of a police vehicle. They don't make them that way. Like you could just open the back door and get out. So that's the way I felt yesterday when I couldn't get out of that car. Like,
you were like a toddler.
Are we there yet?
so
I'm hungry.
the other thing that,
Just gave me flashbacks of,
dude, this is your last
Shut up.
show on. Is the vice mayor available on Sundays?
so don't buy it. It wasn't as easy as just let me out. I'll walk. Yeah, no.
The
Shortest.
sand,
I think you were back there.
oh, all right, Dan, relax. The sand on Estero Boulevard was worse than the last storm. I mean, it was crazy.
There was a lot of mixed debris in it too. It wasn't just sand.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there was stuff underneath it. There were 2x4s, you name it. It wasn't just sand this time because the wind had blown so many things around. So it wasn't safe right away for people to drive down the road. It was. I mean, I was in a 4-wheel drive truck. We got stuck 3 times.
To be able to clear that sand the way the county did and the way your contractors did, and be able to allow people to get on the island as quickly as you did was a minor miracle.
Yeah, well, I want a really big special thank goes out to Andrew Site Work. They're the firm that are doing our stormwater project. They stepped up and brought down, I don't know how many people and how many trucks and to help. They're the ones that are still out here today working. They're the ones you're seeing sweeping the sidewalks. And
Nice.
Those guys are machines, man.
Yeah.
How fast they come down here and move things around. And I talked to the owner the other day. Andy and I and Frankie were on the phone with the owner after Helene when they were cleaning up, and he's going to be donating money back to the town at some point. So, I mean, he's from here. He grew up on the beach, he said. So he's a very nice guy. And I'll tell you, we're fortunate that we have that company under contract already because we were able to get through the cleanup process very quickly. Had they not been here, it might have been a little bit longer, but and then obviously the county had their crews down there helping, and it was all hands on deck. ICS who's helping us with the beach renourishment. They're the ones that have those big trucks that you see that take up 2 lanes that haul the big, those guys have been helping us. So it was all hands on deck, and we were ready for this storm, and what you see now compared to what it was 2 days ago is night and day.
So the other thing I wanted to ask you was, has Andy come to you and said, listen, Mayor, when the smoke clears from this hurricane, I'm leaving. I've had enough. A building collapsed on me. I have had 2 hurricanes and I'm ready to retire.
No, I'll tell you, Andy is a hard worker. We all evacuated to the hotel. Andy didn't have a room. He and Jeff and Nicole were in the lobby. We offered them to come up and, we'll sit in the lobby. You guys, they didn't have a room, and they were working from the lobby 24 hours a day. They were down there with fire chief, and they didn't have a room. So they literally sat up for almost 48 hours working. Those guys deserve a lot of credit. But to answer your point, we always, Andy always jokes around. And I'm like, Andy, how long do you think you're going to do this? He always says 66-10, 66-10.
What does that mean?
That's when he can get full retirement. 66-10.
When he's 66 years old?
I think Andy, the good thing about Andy is Andy sees the mission. He sees the vision. He I think really enjoys being part of rebuilding a community.
Yeah.
He knows that this is a legacy for him. I don't want to speak for him, but he's got to know that this is a legacy for him. He's working very hard to make sure everybody's taken care of. He can't please everybody. He understands that. We understand that. But the guy always answers his phone. He's always out there working. He's always in a truck. He's always accessible. Yeah. So he's doing a great job. One
of the decisions the town made was to remove the clock from Times Square. And you would think that why there's so many other things you could be doing and so many other ways you can be preparing. But that is a symbol of hope for the people on Fort Myers Beach and the visitors. People got on our page and other pages on Facebook and said, hey, what are they going to do about the clock? And I have to be honest with you. I thought, why are they asking about the clock? We know that mother's going down. No matter what happens, that storm's coming in, that thing's going down. And we'll just go to George Merschmont and say, we need another 10 grand to bring the clock in. And then you see the Public Works Department taking the clock out. And it was like the greatest thing that ever happened.
Yeah, that was a good decision you wouldn't realize it would have that much publicity and that much positivity. But funny story, Andy's got a really good sense of humor. He can take it, he can give it. Sometimes you don't know if he's joking or if he's serious, but he's got a good sense of humor. He told me a story. He was talking to the person that donated the money for the clock, and said, if we lose the clock, would you be willing to donate it to get it back? And they said, absolutely. He goes, okay, we just took the clock down, so we'll let you know where to send the check. So, you know, just got a good laugh. You know, everybody needs a laugh once in a while.
Yeah. I mean, and it meant so much to people to see that thing being saved, because after Ian, it meant so much to people like, where is it? Where did the clock go? And it's, you know, I think the poinsettia tree came down in the storm, didn't it? I think the poinsettia tree either came down or was knocked down. We got to put that back up too.
The palm tree that was there, I mean, those, we could always put one of those up, but we still have the rack that the poinsettia is going in, and the Hileys have donated every year. They've been donating the poinsettias for that tree. So that will be back up again in December.
So what is the biggest, or I don't know if there are any, but what's the biggest criticism you've gotten so far about the response to the storm?
Well, so far, I would say the vast majority have been very thankful. I had 5 or 10 people stop me on the road yesterday and shake my hand and say, you guys and staff are doing a great job. Keep up the good work. But I did get a couple emails where people were upset about the passes, the confusion on the passes. Some went into Target thinking it was in Target. And that's why I was saying earlier, evidently we need to be a little bit more clear when we tell you to go to the Target parking lot. That doesn't mean go into the Target and ask the cashier for a pass. So we had to reword a few things. So the biggest complaint and there hasn't been many, I will tell you, there's been, I'll say 3 or 4 that I've received emails on. One was they were upset that they didn't know about the passes. They didn't get them from the clerk. The other 2 were revolving around, they thought we opened the island up to everyone a little bit too early. And the story behind that, what people don't know is, in case you weren't paying attention, we had residents on first until they could all get in and assess their things with their passes. Then we opened it up the next day to contractors for residents who were off island but wanted somebody to come in and either check their property or start cleaning out their property. And our control of Bonita Beach Road. Bonita Springs does. So that was closed off. Well, they had cleared that road. And when we found out that road was cleared, we didn't have time to scramble and pull people off to manage access passes on the south end of the island and get shops set up at the hardware off. It just was late in the evening, and we just didn't have time to get people to come back out that have been working all day to go man that. And the staff felt comfortable in making the decision to the next morning at 7 a.m. to open it up. And yesterday, I'll tell you, I didn't see a lot of traffic. I didn't hear any complaints about people sitting in traffic. I personally didn't see cameras out the window taking video. I'm sure that was happening, and I didn't see it. But
can I just interrupt?
People were. There was one person that emailed that was extremely upset.
Yeah,
they were a 28-year resident. They think that the reentry was a complete debacle, that we totally screwed it up, and they felt that because we let people
I want
on
that
the
email
island,
so I can put it on Facebook.
Because we let people on the island, there were people sitting on the beach and enjoying the beach, and they felt that was a gut punch, and that the town is more worried about tourism and businesses than we are about
tourism
residents.
for what? Nobody's open yet.
Well, but those of you asked about complaints. That was one of the complaints, and Megan will tell you that one hit. I don't usually let them bother me. That one bothered me a little bit because our staff has been working their tail off, and that to me was a personal shot at them. I don't think they intended it that way, but that's the way I took it. And I did have to delete what I wrote twice before I finally hit send. But
I wrote something last night, but didn't delete it. I posted it anyway, which I probably would have deleted if Kim was around.
So the reason our intent was to have another day to allow contractors and the residents time and FPL, and big shout out goes to Senator Scott and Congressman Donald.
Oh, here come the muckety muck.
Well,
Thank you.
I'll tell you what, if it wasn't for those two, we were having some difficulty with communication with FPL. We were trying to reach out to them. Just, give us the news, whatever it is. If it's bad news, we don't care. Tell us so we can tell the resident. If it's going to be 4 days, 5 days, let us know so they can make plans, whether it's generators, whatever they need. And, they were busy. Obviously, the storms hit all up the West Coast and 2 weeks ago. So we understand they were busy, and we were trying to be patient. But as the heat was kind of ramping up for us, that's something that was outside of our control, and we needed to get answers from FPL. So those Senator Scott and Congressman Donalds were able to get the right people on the phone. And
I made a post about the FPL thing that I just really want to clarify. I would never criticize a worker like the line workers or the workers that are here They come to town. They come from out of state. They come from everywhere to help. It's the communication from the management level of FPL that really sucks sometimes. Just if you can't, you don't have to communicate with me. I don't care. But if you can't communicate with him, like it's probably not going to be today. It's going to be tomorrow, because then the people take it out on them. The people take it out on like the town that they're not doing enough. And I don't think that's right. I think FPL should just be upfront and say, listen, we're not sure. You can tell your residents we're not sure. You can tell your residents, like everybody was looking on the app and they saw it was Wednesday the 16th. Everybody thought it was going to be Wednesday the 16th. That's all they saw. Yet things started to be, we started to get some power here. Then it started to be there. Then for some reason, something happened where people were losing power. It's like, why can't they communicate to you guys so you can get it out to the residents? That's what I meant by that. I would never criticize a worker on the line. That's just not what I meant by that.
Like the crew that was working on the south end, they were from Alabama. They were great guys. I'm like, these are the guys we need working. They were working around the clock. They were working all night. They knew how important it was for us to get the lights on. So seeing all the lights on Estero Boulevard on last night at 10 o'clock was encouraging, because obviously now it's a little bit safer to be able to go. And so they've been working their tails off. Now that, they're obviously not done yet. And, it's people forget we've had 2 pretty significant hurricanes back to back in the same month.
Yeah.
Within a month. And the fact that you've got power, not everyone has it. I understand that, but the majority of the island has got power back in less than 3 days. I mean, that says how hard they're working and how good the system held up.
Yeah. It was just a communication that I thought could have been better.
Yeah.
But anyway.
And with the communication for the last 2 days has been excellent.
Yeah,
Charlotte Miller,
because the squeaky wheel gets the oil, or whatever the saying is. The oil gets the squeaky wheel.
Just get us some answers.
Yeah.
That's all we need. And if we get answers, we can help. We can help be the buffer between the community, because if they're asking us and we don't know, the next call is going to be the FPL, and it's going to overwhelm your call center. And people just weren't answering the phone, or there was not if you let us, we'll get the information out, and they just want to answer. Like I said, if it's bad news, that's fine. People can deal with it. At least they can make plans. So I think we're back on track now. And
thank you to our governor of this state. I love Governor DeSantis. I wish he was going to be the president, but and you don't have to agree with that. That's fine. But he knows that he needs to set up the linemen so that after the storm, when they're ready to roll, they're ready to roll. So that was one of the things that he adjusted after, the Jeb Bush, and Chris governorships. They all knew what they were doing with the storms. I mean, I don't want to get to the national politics thing, but when Governor DeSantis holds a press conference with Kevin Guthrie, they got their act together. They've done these storms a million times.
Those 2 guys, well, exactly. I mean, I keep saying the words battle tested. You want to talk about 2 guys that are battle tested. They know what to do. They know how to stage. They know that they just so
you know, there's 245 people watching plus this live audience, way more than 4.
Well, that's 246. Then that's one big group. No,
the other thing I wanted to mention was, folks, if you don't realize you should get a reentry pass now, you should get a reentry pass for the next hurricane season. When you wait till the last minute and say it's the town didn't give you enough time to get a reentry pass, please take some self-responsibility with that. This town council and this government has been promoting the reentry pass since they were elected. So please don't put it on them. And I don't love government. I'm just saying it's not really true when you say you didn't have enough time to get a reentry pass. You had plenty of good weather to get a reentry pass, and you were just lazy about it. You didn't do it. So you should all get a reentry pass for the next hurricane season when they start announcing the color.
Well, you can always improve on a process, right? I won't say that it was 100% perfect, but it went pretty well. If people are listening and they have suggestions on how they think we could improve it, please let us know. We'll certainly look at it and implement it. Like the signs, I thought that was a great idea. When things like this are happening, there's so many things to look at besides just the reentry passes that details can get missed. I'm not going to lie and tell you, but the process was followed. Doesn't mean the process can't be improved upon. If you got a suggestion, let us know. We'll be happy.
Yeah, here's the process, how it gets. You should never have to set up a tent so somebody has to go get a reentry pass. If you live on the island, get a freaking pass so you have it. What's the big deal?
Yeah,
come on down. Come on. No. It'll last till the end of hurricane season. Then there'll be a new color.
I don't know that that's necessarily true, but well, good question. You
don't know that? I know that. You change the color every year. Don't you?
I don't think we do, but
Oh,
I
just
think
use the pass for the rest of your life then. I mean, I'm guessing you changed the color.
no,
so-
there was they were different colors. I think purple and
Yeah.
purple during Ian. So we'll find out. I
Yeah.
don't know that there's a need to change colors every season because then you're just redoing everything we just did. But-
well, you also don't want people handing off their passes to people that aren't residents.
Well,
I mean, I think it saves the residents from.
You're never going to
okay,
stop that, though.
yeah.
I mean, you're never
Yeah.
going to stop that.
Right, minimize it anyway. So let's talk about the elephant in the room,
Oh,
and
boy.
that is.
Is that a fat joke?
No, not at all. The why are you feeling heavy?
No, I've been.
All right, I just want to make sure if we need to have a therapy session about something, you
I
can
didn't know
just
that
start it
was
right
a-
here, bro.
I didn't know if that was a fat joke or a Trump
No,
joke.
man, you're a Trump joke. No,
Trunk.
a drunk joke. So the FEMA, who is our friend, right? Everybody knows FEMA is our friend. Has asked
That's
that
what the F stands for.
the town move all the temporary trailers off of Fort Myers Beach by November 18th, which is rapidly approaching, like 1 month away. And a lot of the trailers had to get off for this hurricane. And Tom from La Ola showed you how quickly he can get his trailer off. But his trailer backed in last night, as everybody saw on Facebook, and he's getting ready to set up shop. And on our show the other night, you said, I'd be very surprised if the town allows them to come back.
I don't know that he talked to anyone. I didn't even know the trailers are there. This is the first I heard it. I haven't been to the north end yet this morning. So
Well, it's not the north end. If you want to look over your shoulder right now, you can
northwest.
see the trailers.
Northwest. Can you?
I mean, come on. Let's not.
there you
I
go.
know. I don't often ask you hard questions, Dan, but
Yeah,
I think
well,
this
there
is
you go.
one that's.
Well, I certainly hope he talked to the town about it. I mean, I don't know that he did. He didn't call me and ask anything. So if he moved him in there and he's got to move him off, that's on him.
So again, I asked this question the other night. You had some trailers that didn't leave that will go through the process that you described. You go through the magistrate, you get a chance to object to it, although FEMA doesn't care, but that's the town's process. And then you have the trailers that went off that you might want to keep off because you don't want to get in trouble with FEMA. Believe me, it sounds like a whole cluster with FEMA and these people they're trying to make a living. They're trying to bring some business to the beach. I totally get that. But what is the right answer? I mean, what is going to happen?
We don't know. The magistrates you already know the process. At the end of the day, if the town loses its discount because people feel that what they want is more important than the entire island and their discount, then everyone can direct their questions to the people that caused us to lose that. That's the way I'm going to put it.
Does anybody here take advantage of the discount? Raise your hand if you take advantage of the discount. Okay, we have a few people, not many. Do you want the businesses back or do you want your discount? Well, I mean,
Well, it's not
you can't-
directly related to the business. It's about coming into compliance with the code. So it could be a homeowner. It could
All
be,
right.
it's not just a business. It's if your neighbor is deciding to rebuild their house without a permit, we all know that you shouldn't be doing that. That's just as bad as people that are running a business that are not supposed to be in trailers on the beach. So it's not and as long as the town, what we've been told from FEMA, as long as you're following your process and you're going through what you're supposed to do to let them know they're not allowed to do that, then that'll make them happy. And that's what we're doing.
Oh, so you found out for sure what makes them happy? Because you weren't sure like a week ago.
No, they've always told us you got to follow your process. Okay, well, we followed our process. Our process where we allowed temporary trailers.
So there are several people here that take advantage of the discount. You're following your process. Can you tell those people that are following the discount 100% surety that as long as you're following your process, they're going to get their discount?
Absolutely not. It's not our decision. It's up to FEMA. All we can do is show them that we're doing everything that was in our code before the storm hit on September 28th.
But if it's
And
just
that's what
you,
we're doing.
it's just you and us,
You
girls
keep trying.
talking
The
here.
answer's going to be the same.
But the point is, you don't trust FEMA is going to keep the discount unless those trailers get off the island, right?
it has nothing to do. It has
Just
nothing
answer
to
the
do with
question, sir.
trailers.
Just tell me how you feel.
I feel that I don't know what FEMA is going to do. I don't know if they're going to pull our discount. I don't know if they're going to put us on probation. I have no idea. Only FEMA knows that. All we can do is continue to communicate with them. They ask for paperwork. We
It
provide
doesn't
it.
seem like there's any communication, though, if you don't know.
Well, our staff,
I'm not saying
FEMA
they're
doesn't
not
communi-
talking to them.
FEMA
Yeah.
doesn't communicate with the council.
They don't
and
tell
elected
you.
staff.
They don't tell you what the bottom line is, right? Here's the bottom line. They got to get off or
Well,
they can stay. Right?
McDonald's again.
No, I think it's a fair question.
Yeah, I'm not.
I
saying
just don't think that you know the answer, and I'm not saying that in a negative way. I don't think you do.
I've told you I don't know the answer.
All right.
I don't know what.
But my point is, why don't they just effing tell you the answer so that you know what to do?
I'm telling you the answer that has been given to us from FEMA through our staff to your elected officials. Follow your process. Enforce where you're supposed to enforce. After that, it goes to the magistrate and it goes through that. That's what they've told our staff. That's what our staff has told us. That's what we're doing. At the end of the day, it's going to be up to FEMA if they feel we're doing exactly what we're supposed to do or not. And then, so if there's going to be any blame it on the staff, blame it on me, blame it on the council, because we're trying to allow staff. We've told staff, whatever you have to do to try to keep that 25% discount, do it. As long as it's within our code and we're supposed to do it, do it. Don't do more than we're required to do, but or let's not try to make policies to make things easier for people, because you can't do that. I know you don't like the answer, but there is no answer because we don't know the answer. We don't know. I have some staff members who feel that no matter what we do, we're going to get put on probation and lose a discount. I have some think there's a hope. I personally think there's a hope, because I'm going to continue to sit on your show and any other show that'll let me talk about it. We're doing what is asked of us and what our code said before. Did people get permits or get work done without a permit that we didn't catch right away? Absolutely. But I've been saying on your show for 2 years, it's not a matter of if we're going to catch you. We're going to catch you. And when we do, we've had people that have been caught. They've went and got their permit. They failed inspection. And guess what? They had to tear out sheetrock, tear out electric, and redo it because it wasn't done to code.
Fair enough. I know
and
that
it costs more money to do it.
I know that there's no straight answer, which I think sucks for the people, because the government works for the people, and between the town government and FEMA, and you can't get a straight answer for the people that are dealing with these storms and this discount. It's just BS, man. It's just BS. And that's the way I feel about it. And I don't, it doesn't matter what I feel about it, but I'm just saying somebody should be able to give the freaking voters, the taxpayers, a straight answer. The trailers need to go, or the trailers can stay until the next hurricane season. I don't think that's hard.
I thought that's been very clear. November 18th is the deadline. If that's what you're asking me, the trailers got to go by November 18th.
Okay, but
if they're not there,
that's not your answer, Dan. The answer is November 18th is the FEMA deadline, and then they get to go through the process of the magistrate.
No. That's not what I said. That's what you're saying. What I'm saying is the town has told you your trailers have to be gone before the 18th. That will bring you into compliance. If you do not do that, we have done what we were required to do.
All right.
In FEMA's eyes, we have violated them and told them to come in. It's no different than if you did work without a permit, we give you a violation, or you're using a parking lot that's not supposed to be a parking lot. We violate you. You have 30 days to come into compliance.
And the apples and oranges.
It's not apples and oranges.
The parking lot has nothing to do with FEMA. That guy just knows how to take advantage of the local government. That has nothing to do with FEMA. He's not going to cost the town their 25% discount.
Well, there's this little thing called property rights too. I mean, we can't just go in and yank somebody's trailer or yank somebody's house out because they're not.
I agree with you 100%. I just think that there is
you
not.
You don't like the ansers, but that is not.
I don't think the people that are worrying about their 25% discount like the answers either.
I don't like the answers either. But the question should be to the people who have been violated, the town included. If we're in violation of the town's code and we don't come into compliance,
all right,
and you lose your discount, then you should ask us, why didn't you come into compliance?
Kim would say I'm making people uncomfortable because I'm being an ass about it, and that I totally get it right there.
An ass or a jerk? I can never.
So the other thing is that I want to ask you about is the town council and the LPA having any meetings for the rest of the month? Because I'm a little confused. Oh, you are.
So next town, I just found out this morning. Andy talked with staff and talked with
the attorney.
Diane. The 21st will be a town council meeting. The 22nd will be a LPA meeting. The 28th will be another town council meeting, and then we'll be back on schedule for November 4th.
Okay, so I think
we're not going to do an MMP meeting this month.
I think so. Then it's the other committees, the other that are not going to meet until November. Gotcha.
Yes, all that
public safety, things like that. Right.
Anchorage advisory. Those committees are not going to be meeting this month, but town council on the 21st, LPA on the 22nd, town council on the 28th, and then another council meeting on November 4th.
Did anyone in the audience have any questions? I don't want to monopolize everybody's time. This is the mayor right here. I mean, and the mayor vote comes up again, right? What's
November 5th? Yeah, after the election.
So November 5th, and the way it works on Fort Myers Beach is they're all equal. All 5 candidates are equal, and the mayor is not elected. The mayor is voted in by the 5 council members. So I have no doubt. I have no doubt you could be the mayor for the next 20 years if there weren't term limits. I mean, don't you guys agree? I mean, he could be.
Yeah.
Yeah. For $13,000 a year, who wouldn't want to be a mayor? Come on. Right? Is it 13? I think
No.
you should get a raise to 14.
Yeah, right. No, it's I think it's 19,000.
Oh, wow. 19,000. You have a question? Yes, ma'am. Go right ahead. We can't hear. I need you to come over only because we want the Facebook audience to hear. But
Or
so
we
take
can
your time
repeat the
coming
question,
over.
whatever she
Yeah,
wants to do.
you got locked in there. We have a question from the live studio audience. By the way, I know you can't see the audience on Facebook, but there are about 10,000 people here at Margaritaville watching the show. Go ahead, ma'am.
A question going back to our
Nice and
emergency
close.
fund. There was a lot of debate about the millage rate because nobody wants their taxes raised. But are we going to have enough money in our emergency fund after everything that's happened?
Great question. Thank you.
Well, I can't speak for Joe. Joe is kind of the wizard with the numbers. I will tell you, I'm not concerned. I
Joe
think-
Onzek is the
Yeah.
CFO of the town.
Yeah, he is a wizard with numbers. We have more reserve funding than we did before Ian. This storm obviously wasn't as bad, and we went through money pretty quickly after Ian. We have great partners at the state, though. If we need help, they'll be certainly here to help us. We're hoping we don't need to ask for help as much as we did after Ian, but it's still too early to tell how much all this is going to cost. We were fortunate enough that we had Andrew Sitework and ICS already under contract, so we could get started quickly. We didn't have to worry about them remobilizing all their equipment. It was already here. So I don't know what the cost is going to be yet. It's too early to tell, but I'm not concerned. This is what we planned for. This is what we prepared for. Now, I don't know that we prepared for 2 back-to-back, but neither one was as bad as Ian. For the most part, town-wise, we didn't have any major damages to the storm towers or the water towers. We did lose a couple of vehicles, nothing major like we had with Ian. So I think we'll be fine. Again, until we know what the costs are and how we're going to have to adjust things to make it work. We do still have the bridge loan. We have funds left from that. We still have ARPA funds that are available.
And they'll just cut your salary if they need more money. You'll go from 19
Whatever we
to
need
12.
to do. Right? Whatever we need to do. Yeah.
So I have a question for you, Dan, because you're in the go right. Come on. No, your questions are way more important than my questions. My questions are basically dumb.
Okay,
Nice and close.
I want to ask this, and then I don't want to cause a big stink. I love the lights at 7-Eleven. How can we not have those on our street?
Wait,
on
what lights on 7-Eleven?
The lights at 7-Eleven?
Oh, down to the south end.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's where I live. So I love those. They're bright. You can see everything.
Because of the turtles, of course.
I understand.
Yeah.
But why can't our street lights look like those? Because those are nice and bright and they're fabulous.
It's coming. It's already been implemented. It's not going to be those exact lights. So if you want to see the exact lights you're going to see on Estero Boulevard at the corner of Crescent here by Margaritaville, Crescent and Estero, those are the 8 fixtures. We're going to have 6. All that means is there's going to be 6 bulbs or 6 lenses versus 8. So if you want to see exactly what's going to be all down Estero Boulevard and how it's going to look at night, that's what you're going to see once the Estero Boulevard lighting project finally gets done. It's in the process. So they've done the underground work as far as running the conduit. We've got we've got all the poles. Now the fixtures are starting to come in. So again, 2 hurricanes have pushed us back a little bit, but we got funding from the state for $8 million to do the lighting project. So to answer your question, that lighting is coming. It will meet the environmental needs. It will also meet FDOT's requirement of 1-foot candle from back of sidewalk to back of sidewalk, all the way down Estero Boulevard and the side streets.
Yeah, because the ones at 7-Eleven,
Thank you.
they're bright.
But they won't be that red. They're going to, anyone that's listening, if you want to see what Estero Boulevard is going to look like at night, look at Crescent at night and you'll see exactly what it's going to look like. That's the best example. I could give you a live example.
You were in the construction business before you became the wealthy mayor of Fort Myers Beach. So I have a question for you. When somebody's building a house to code, like they start to build a house to code and it's up in the air like that, and then a storm comes through like it comes through, and then the next day the house falls off the pilings and it's just sitting. I mean, I feel so bad for Kim and Dapper Davidson. Like their house was being built to code. If you guys don't know the house, it had the flip-flops out front. and it said, I love Fort Myers Beach. And their house, they were building their dream house. And then the storm comes through. And then you come by the next day. It's the only house on the island that fell down. How does that happen?
I don't know.
You do know, you just don't want to say.
I wouldn't have built it that way personally, but I mean, anybody that's ever built a pole shed or built any, to me, that was built like, it reminded me of decks back in Minnesota.
Decks?
You know, the decks, you know, like your deck, you go out on your back, do your barbecuing. You'd see people that would build them where they'd put the footers in and then they'd put the post on top. And then they have the brackets that come in that are mounted to the concrete. And then they attach the brackets to the post. Well, that's fine for a deck.
Yeah.
In a place that doesn't have 200-mile-an-hour potential winds. I don't know why the contractor chose to do it that way. I don't know if, I'm assuming permits were pulled. I don't know the details of that property, but I know that when I saw it tip over.
Are you able to just pick the house back up and put it where it came from?
I'm sure they're
going to
have to look at it
I
structurally.
mean, I wouldn't want the guy that put the house together like that to be the guy picking the house up and putting it back on the wood.
But, you know, there have been people that have said that they should be concrete and not wood. Well, you look at some of the houses that survived after Ian that are on wood pilings, or even the houses that got taken off the pilings and the pilings are still there. Those back then people knew how to build. You know, if you have a 20-foot pole, why would you cut it in half and have a middle point? Why not just put it all the way into the ground? You pour concrete around it, it's less likely to break.
Yeah.
An 8x8 is not something easy to break. I mean,
Albert's losing his mind about that house.
I bet he is.
Because you have a question. Come on down, sir. Because Albert and I had been going back and forth about that house, and Albert D'Ambrose is a structural engineer, right? I mean, he's what is he?
I think
An architect. Michael Stewart's a structural engineer. I get them all confused because they're so good and they talk to me all the time. He kept saying to me, what the hell's going on with that house? Like, he saw the wood pieces, and he's like, I said, I called them and I asked them, and it seems like everything's going cool. And then it's the only house that fell down. It's like, it was unfortunate for them, because now they have put so much money into their dream house, and their dream houses fell on a palm tree.
Well, it looked like, from what I could see from the sidewalk, it looked like there was everything inside was still up. I didn't see any walls collapse, at least what I could see through the windows.
Albert said they use brackets to hold up the house, which are made for decks. That's what he said.
That's exactly what.
Yeah. You got a question, sir? Come on down. Chicago Bears fan. Are they playing right now in London?
Chicago, right? Yeah, London. There's games going on.
What's the score?
I haven't seen it yet. I'm here.
Yeah.
This is more important.
Sweet. Thank you very
kudos
much.
to the Village Hall. Thank you. Everything was great. Expedited. Question: garbage pickup. Are they going to be around Waste Management Thursday? And two, neighbors that are starting to put stuff in the street. You know, the Claw did it last time. What's going to happen with that? Is somebody taking care of that?
You're going to remember, before you answer that, I have to tell you this story because I'll forget. So I went home yesterday. We live out in Gateway. I know people that hate the show remind us that we don't live on the beach. So I'm pulling in our road, and I see this lady making a U-turn like right in front of her house. So she makes a U-turn, and she knocks over all three of our garbage cans, like all three of them, the garbage, the recyclables, and everything. She knocks them all over, and she looks at me as I'm pulling up, and I was like, and she just took right off. So there was all kinds of trash. It's like, what the hell is going on here?
Well, if you'd have shaved, she might have stopped. Just saying. No, to answer, where'd you go over here? To answer your question, Bears are winning 10-35. All right. Well, so Crowder Golf, who is our debris pickup company that we have under contract, piggyback with the county, they will be starting tomorrow, which is the claw trucks that you're talking about. I can't speak for Waste Management. I haven't talked to them yet to see if they're going to have their same normal schedule. My guess is they probably will, because you can access the roads and get down the side streets, but we'll get that. We'll find out for sure. I'm sure they'll put out some information, but starting tomorrow, you'll see Crowder Golf with their debris pickups. I don't know if it'll be the big ones or the medium-sized ones, but they will be starting tomorrow.
And you have to separate it. There are 4 different piles. You have to put them in.
We have a post. I'll get Andy to put it back out again either today or tomorrow, because there's 4 different categories. You got to separate it apart, because it goes
different landfills.
Just like Ian. We all remember Ian. There's a moderator. There's a person that's standing there, watch what goes in the truck. Then when it goes to where it goes to the staging site, there's a person sitting there watching what comes out of the truck. They log everything because FEMA's reimbursing it. They want to see what's going in, what's coming out. And if you don't have it separated, they're going to drive past your pile and go to the next one. So
Kathy wants to know what they do with the rotten food. Did they wait till Thursday for garbage?
Put it put it in your garbage. I
don't know.
I
If you
wish
have
I had a
power,
better-
put it in your freezer until it's time for it to pick up.
Yeah.
That's what I would do.
Yeah, or you know,
Did you answer all his questions?
Huh?
I don't.
any
I
more
don't-
questions?
No,
I think that is.
I wanted to make sure you got his answer.
Yeah,
full.
I think
You got a
I
question
answered his
right
question.
here, Dan.
Yeah.
Come on down, people. We love the interaction with the audience.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You mentioned the elephant in the room.
Yes.
It's not you. Don't worry. There's this notion of the future direction of the island. I know a lot of people want to see it remain as this quaint little island town. And then there are those that are trying to build larger, more Naples-like hotels and commercial entities on the beach. It seems to be a dichotomy because to get back to where we're at, you need investment, you need money. That doesn't come from building smaller little homes. It comes from an infusion and investment. What is your plan to infuse money into this island so that, before I'm 95, it's actually back up and running?
Wow, I didn't know we were going to get deep on this show today. I thought we
yeah.
were just going to have fun. I mean, thank you. No, that's a great question, though. It
Yeah.
is.
Well, our plan is to encourage. I think what you're going to see, especially after these last, where'd you go? After these last two storms, I've talked to several people whose homes they were able to build back after Ian that have just said, we're going to raise our house now. We just, we got through that storm. Most of us thought we wouldn't see that again for quite a while. We've seen two storms that were very close since then. So you're going to see people start raising them. I think people are going to start knocking the ones down that are close and start building the houses back. We had a lot of housing going up before these last two storms came. I think people are upset that they're rebuilding again. I don't know that, some people you'll see that are not putting things downstairs anymore. They're just going to keep it as a garage. So that's the plan for that. Now, as far as commercial, if you're talking commercial, I think this next week you're going. Which we're seeing they're going to do. As far as where the direction is going to be, you're going to see, I think, over the next 2 weeks what the direction is going to be. When the council members and the LPA actually have a voice and the people can actually stand up to that podium and voice their opinions, not just via email, I strongly encourage you, whether you're for or against something, come out and make your voice heard. If you can't make it, send us emails because we do listen, we do watch, we pay attention. We've got to do what's in the best interest of the island. We know development's coming. We know resiliency, stronger, mitigated buildings are what we need. Building code requires that. So I think everything you're seeing built is going to be much stronger. I just can't give you an answer as to what's going to get approved or what's not going to get approved yet. But I think in the next 2 weeks, you'll have a good understanding of what's coming or not coming.
And I appreciate the answer. I think my response has to do with a great number of us who are closer to retirement or there. And
Right.
we see a lot of empty sand. I
Yeah.
mean, blocks of sand.
Yeah.
And the lifestyle that we had before, which was we could go to this bar or this restaurant.
Mhm.
We know and we understand it's going to take a lot of time, but it's going to take a huge infusion of cash before I'm, not walking.
Well, and I think
Up to that.
I
How
think
old are
that-
you?
Yeah.
I was 69,
How much you weigh?
185 pounds.
Nice. You're in good shape.
Yeah.
169, 180
Is that
what?
what you're gonna sell me on the fact that I'll outlive it?
Yeah. How many
Well-
push-ups can you do in a minute?
Huh?
Never mind.
I did a few this morning. Ed.
Nice. How
There
many
you
did you do? Yeah. About the push-up
Come
thing,
on, Ed.
I got
You
up at
missed-
4:00 in the morning so I can go to the gym. Amp Fitness is supposed to be open 24 hours. They're still closed. I mean, why are they still closed? They shouldn't be closed.
No, I think you see my point though.
Yeah.
Small
Yeah.
is a little bit at a time.
Thank you.
Big investment brings in
So,
inertia.
Well, I think it's important to. So let's just look at some of the projects that are out there.
yes.
Just
Before
even-
you say that,
yeah.
let me ask you by a round of applause or boos. A round of applause or boos. Everybody participate if you want to. Are you in favor of the Outrigger project with London Bay? Yay or nay?
You didn't ask yay first or nay. You just said-
No, I like to hear it all at the same time. Are you in favor of the Seagate Red Coconut project? I'd say that was a little. There were no boos for that one, like there were for the
Oh, there
first one.
was. You just can't hear them.
I think there's just some people that are going to boo for everything.
There's going to be, what I was going to tell you, town council approving or let's just say town council approves something. That's just the start of it. They still got to go through DEP. They got to go through Swift Mud. They've got to go through there. That's just the start of it. I'll give you an example. There's a project on Crescent that's been approved to be built over 10 years ago. Hasn't been started. They actually came in to get an extension on their CPD. So just because something potentially gets approved, it could be 10 years. It could be 15 years before they started. Look at the project that was down in Bay Beach. That's been approved for how long? They just now completed it. I don't even know how long it was. I think it was before the town incorporated, because that was the last high-rise building approved before the town incorporated. So it's been how many decades before that was finished? So just because something gets approved doesn't mean it's going to be built next year or the year after. Now, the smaller the project, the faster it can come out of the ground. But as you probably well know, the project has to make money for the developers and the people building it. So there's a point where the dollars and cents have to make sense.
Yeah.
And it's working all that out. So I'm not shocked that people are coming in and asking what they're asking for. If you go to a car, it's probably a horrible analogy, but if you go to a car dealership, the window sticker says this: I want to offer you $20,000 less. If I get it, great. If I don't, then I know what I'm really comfortable with spending. To me, it's the same kind of concept with developing. You come in and you ask for more, but there's a bottom line that you just can't go past. And how are we going to get to that? And then decide, does it make sense for the island or doesn't it?
The thing that's going to be interesting is when EIBC comes up. It's a condo building, what's it called? Not a condo. It's a timeshare building. They're under or at the same capacity density that they were before, but the building is 10 stories. If that building gets approved, even though it's at the same density, it's going to be the tallest building that has been approved on Fort Myers Beach since incorporation. And the reason Fort Myers Beach incorporated was because of big buildings. And I'm not picking on Diamond Head because I love Diamond Head. And when people criticize Diamond Head, I have to delete the post because Diamond Head they saved the community when this storm came through. When Ian came through, there would have been no meetings that were able to be held if it wasn't for Diamond Head. They let those people hold meetings day after day, week after week. There's still meetings being held there.
I don't think it was just Diamond. You look at Margaritaville, you look at Pink. So these structures were built to withstand what we've been hit with, and they protected people's houses behind here. They protected, the businesses, the lighthouse tiki, all that stuff survived because this building.
But my point with EIBC is it's really residential, but it would be the biggest building approved since incorporation, and people are struggling with a 10-story building.
Well, I have a feeling these next few meetings are going to be very, people are going to come out and they're going to say their piece, and we're seeing a lot of emails on that project specifically, both directions. That's why we have the meetings. We'll talk about it and we'll come to a decision.
We're just shooting the breeze here. Just two kids with 9 listeners. If you're a betting man, would you bet EIBC would be approved or not?
I bet they will get their fair shake at the table.
Yeah, I think EIBC is going to be approved 4-1. Anyone want to take that bet? 4-1, and Dan's going to be the only no vote. Put that on the table right now. You don't have to comment on it. I'm just saying.
I'm not going to.
I think that it's going to be a 4-1 vote. I think, not that it matters.
Here.
What's with all the helicopters? I
don't know.
I don't know if you saw yesterday. Like World Kitchen has been delivering meals to FMB Strong. Their vehicle that they deliver the food in caught fire on Alligator Alley. The whole vehicle caught on fire. So they couldn't cook the food. So they got out of the vehicle. They went to a local school somewhere on Alligator Alley. They cooked the food, and then they have a helicopter. The helicopter came and picked up the food from wherever they were, and they landed right behind FMB Strong and dropped off the food. And that mother effing food was good, man. I had chicken and rice and
think that's someone's
pasta. And I was like, holy shit, man. They would go to no ends to cook the food. So anything else, Dan? Do you think we're well over our time? We're 7 minutes over our time, but this is your floor, man. This is your show.
No, I think, keep us posted on your power situation. we got a direct line of communication now with FPL. So if you're,
Jeez, thank you.
they have told us that by Wednesday, all of Lee County should have power back, or will
Wednesday?
have power back. So I mean, that's all of
Today's
Lee
Sunday.
County. Well, hey, I mean, we were after Irma, we were without power for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And that was Irma.
Yeah.
So
Good
you know,
point. Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, 2 weeks. We've
By the
come-
way, everybody, those boxes right there are sandbags. Please take the boxes home with you before you leave today. You're going to need them. And when I was at the sand pile, they were giving out 20 bags per resident. And, you know, sometimes you need more than 20 bags. And, you know, that is a last minute purchase. I don't know how many people actually go out to Home Depot and say, hey, listen, let me just stock up on sandbags just in case.
They're worth keeping
Take
in your
them,
garage.
Put them in
yes.
your garage, because if you take the boxes, they're donated from people across the country. That we also have bins that are at our house, and I'm going to try and figure out how to donate those.
One thing I wanted to cover, there's been some questions and some, we'll just say questions
Okay.
about the sand and, you know, the beach renourishment
Yes.
project and the berms and, you know, how it's a waste of taxpayers' dollars and yada, 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 yada. Well, that sand is not just going away. There's a huge pile at the old town hall. There's a huge pile at the current town hall that all gets sifted and put right back on the beach. Does it take money to put it back on the beach? Yes. But that sand was put there to protect the homes. Imagine if that sand wasn't there. Yes, we got to clean it up. Yes, it's ended up in our homes. Yes, we've got to put it back on the beach. But without it, imagine the devastation you'd have. So yes, it's taxpayers' dollars, but it's taxpayers' dollars. The barrier islands are meant to protect the inland. That's the whole point of a barrier island. So I've been saying for a while, we need to look on the town of Fort Myers Beach, some sort of coastal protection system that if we can build it the whole length of the island. The problem is getting homeowners on board with that, because you've got to go, you know, but if it can protect their home and they can still have their pool and still have their view, I think it could be a win. There's a lot of federal money out there to be able to do things like this, federal and state money, but you got to have the willingness to at least have the conversation to see what it could look like. Think about it. You could have Clearwater Beach has one. You go over to the other coast and there's a boardwalk where you can walk and you can bike, and you still have the dunes and you still have the planting. So you can really make it nice and protect the island more than we're protected now. I think it's something that the town really needs to look at. And I think we will. If I get reelected, that's what I'll be pushing for the next 4 years.
Nice. I like it when he sticks that in there. I tell him he's got to talk about being reelected. If you get reelected.
Hard to believe it's coming up fast.
I think Dan and Jim are going to get the most votes. And then the battle is going to be between the other two at the bottom there, Scott and Greg. Who do you think is going to win that between Scott and Greg?
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, everybody's a winner that's willing to put their name in.
Oh, my God. What kind of answer is that? Gosh. So what's that? So there was one other thing I wanted to say, and I completely lost my train of thought there about what it was. So are you done there?
I'll talk as long as you want to talk.
I had something so compelling to say, and then when you get close to 60, you forget a lot of things that you want to say, right?
Yeah. Happy belated birthday.
Yeah.
So I shouldn't give him too much of a hard time. When he was riding in the truck and acting like a McDonald's 2-year-old, it was his birthday. So we got to let him slide a little bit.
Oh, no. So,
he didn't deserve one. He was acting like a brat.
Ladies and gentlemen, the mayor of Fort
Thanks.
Myers Beach, Dan Allers. Before we go, I do want to say thank you to everybody. I love covering storms like that. I took a little grief about staying on the island, but I didn't have a vehicle. My vehicle wasn't in jeopardy. And I know people love to watch storms, and I know people want to know how their beach is doing. And so I set it up so that I could be here. And if people don't like it, I apologize for that. But I love doing that kind of stuff because I love Fort Myers Beach, and you guys have always been great to us. And you're thanking us all the time about the information that comes out. And we appreciate that. People come up handing us money and checks for, for coffees and things like that. And it really means a lot to us. But watching that storm surge, I am fascinated by storm surge. I don't know why, but when I was able to look out the window and you see the calm seas, like they're just effing with you right now. They're just effing with you. And then you see it get a little bit more brutal, and then it comes through, and then it's really knocking down things. I was here at Margaritaville, And I heard things thinking like, this thing's a fortress. Nothing's going to knock this thing down. It was built for storms like that. But when you hear the kind of violence of that storm comes through, it's just, I'd never put my life in danger. I never went out when it was too crazy windy, but I went out when, you can get out reasonably, because I know you guys want to see what's going on, because eventually those cams are going to be knocked down. Eventually those cameras all over the resorts are going to be knocked down. And so, but my wife said to me before she left for Africa, she's saying this to me before she goes to Africa, where you could die of malaria. She says this to me, don't put your life in danger. I'm like, okay, you're going to malaria. You just got, 12 vaccinations that you probably got COVID stuck in one of those vaccinations by accident. You have no idea. And so I said, I'm not going to put my life in danger. But when you see that storm surge coming over, that is no joke. And I don't know why I'm fascinated by it, but I'm fascinated by the weather phenomenon of how that happens. I mean, thankfully, they over-predicted, and it wasn't as brutal as it was. But I also thought the wind damage was worse than, we had during Helene or even Ian. I thought the wind damage this time, if you went down and saw some of the damage down on Bayside Park at Wahoo Willie's and Nervous Nellie's, it was somehow a boat got lifted up from Moss Marina and was just deposited at Nervous Nellie's like that because it wasn't secured enough. It's like that now there's a boat in the backyard of Nervous Nellie. So all the TVs were taken down from Wahoo's too. So hopefully those guys will be able to get open really soon. So yeah, don't forget to take your sandbags. Don't forget to I don't know what I was going to tell you not to forget, but thank you all for tuning in. I did want to make sure I thanked our sponsors. So if you guys can just hang out so I can thank Parrot Key. Parrot Key is one of our sponsors. Waterfront dining at Salty Sam's Marina. They are on island time all the time. Has anybody seen if Parrot Key is open? Are they open? I know they're a Green Bay Packers bar. They have Sunday brunch, 9 a.m. to noon, featuring Monster Marys, bottomless mimosas, lobster, eggs Benedict. Lobster and eggs. Wow. I've had eggs, but I've never had lobster and eggs. That sounds yummy. The biggest Green Bay Packers bar in the area, known as Lambeau South. Packers merchandise is also available, so stop by Parrot Key and check them out, especially during a Packers game. Also, the Island Pancake House still doesn't have power in the Secret Plaza, but they're ready to roll. They didn't get much damage from this last storm, so if you have a chance to stop in and see them when they do open, of course, when they open, we'll post it on our Facebook page because we have just a tad more than 1,500 followers. So the Island Pancake House is open daily from 7:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. They will stay open longer if you want them to because they have a full bar. Pancakes and rum, baby. That's what you need in life is pancakes and rum. We love Brian and Stacy. They kick ass down there at the Island Pancake House. And finally, Jorge Barrera. If you have a property you want to buy or a property you want to sell, Jorge Barrera is the guy. You see him doing those goofy videos on the Facebook, and that guy knows more about any property on the island than, him and Jorge. Jorge and Alex King are the two that really know everything about every property on the island. So Jorge Barrera is out also volunteering at 820 Buttonwood. I ran into him yesterday. They were handing out these clean buckets, all these gigantic things of stuff to clean your houses with from the muck. Give them a call right now, 239-791-9893, 239-791-9893. If you've got $1 million to burn, got $1 million check in your pocket, and you want to buy some property, I don't know if that $1 million will get you much right now in Fort Myers Beach, maybe $10 million. And every storm that comes through, it seems like the property gets more expensive down here on the beach. So that's enough storm, though. Jorge S. WFLRealtor.com. Thank you, Jorge. Thank you all for coming. We appreciate the volunteers that came the last 2 days. And we'll see you next week. Hopefully, life will be back to normal next week. Bye-bye.